you simply cannot build a brand on a platform that is not yours. It's like you're borrowing, like you're renting your house and then you're building a palace on it. And after 2 years, your rent expires, and then the landlord comes and says, "Okay, the palace is now mine."
Hey everyone, what's up and welcome at Industry Insights. Today I'm here with my guest Sam Feldt. What's up, my man?
Hey, what's up? All is good here. Still keeping myself busy with the label, with the music, with Fangage, the company that I've launched. So busy
hmm
times, but overall still doing well.
I can imagine, and aside from busy times, different times as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, still tours have kind of been postponed. I was actually scheduled to do a 6 day tour in the US
Yeah,
about 3 weeks ago, but I had to cancel that because my visa isn't getting approved because of the COVID restrictions and the travel restrictions still in place. So
mm,
still home, still in Amsterdam, different times, but overall good to have some focus on the music and the businesses as well.
that sucks, man. Yeah, I saw it on Twitter, and we talked about it previously as well. But what went wrong with the US thing? Because you already had a visa, right?
Yep, I already have a visa. I've been playing in the US for 6 years already.
Yeah.
The thing is just that because of COVID, there's a travel ban in place between Europe and the US, and basically they don't give out any new visas or stamps until that travel ban is gone, which might be soon, but unfortunately not now. And in the meantime, you need a national interest exemption, which in short means that you can travel through the travel ban. But they're no longer giving that away to artists. So yeah, a
Okay.
little bit shitty news, but hopefully I can get back on the road pretty soon.
Yeah, I can imagine. And is that because you needed a new visa, or is it also with existing visas?
I believe I have to say it right. I think because my visa expired in the period of COVID, that's why I can't get a new one. So, for example, if you got a new visa for 3 years just before the pandemic hit, then you'll be fine. I think that's
Ah,
also
okay.
what Kygo has and a couple other DJs
Yeah,
that are playing in the US. But if your visa expired anywhere in the last 1.5 years, you're basically fucked. So that's the position I'm in.
bad timing.
Yeah, exactly.
My,
But yeah, nobody could expect this, I guess. So.
yeah, I can imagine. Well, that sucks. It looked. I can imagine that you really looked forward to that tour after that long of time being home.
Yeah, I mean, just it's also so weird that I've got so many tracks, even being played on the radio, like far away from home, and all these tracks that became to be big hits, and then I've never played them in front of a real crowd. I've only done them on live streams, and it's so weird because I've already moved on to new tracks and new singles
Yeah,
and new hits. So it's weird. Like my career used to be me making music, releasing music, and then playing that music live as the cherry on the pie. And now that final step never has never come to completion. So, I mean, it feels like I still have so much music that I can't wait to just share with my fans live in hopefully in the near future.
yeah. And how is that impacting you as an artist? Because as you mentioned, it's the cherry on the cake. Something that, well, I can imagine keeps you motivating during bad times. How does that impact you as an artist?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's just a big part of the fulfillment of my life in general. I think just disappeared. I really enjoy showing people a good time. I really enjoy making people forget about their problems through music. And now I've been able to do that digitally, but not in real life, and it's just a different thing. And also, I love to travel. I'm a person that needs new inputs all the time and impulses, and also that's also what I've gotten used to over the past couple of years. So it was just a big switch for me. I
hmm
won't say I'm sad because I'm still finding purpose in other things, but I definitely do miss it. The traveling, the DJing, and just the energy.
Yeah, I can imagine. So let's have a look back at the past year, how would you say you've experienced the whole year by itself?
I mean, it went kind of in phases for me. So when I got back home from my US tour back in March 2020, nobody expected it would take this long. Nobody could estimate the impact of COVID and the period it would impact us in. So I was just thinking I was going to go home for 2 months or maybe three max, and
Yeah,
then they would have this shit figured out. And it turned out to
yeah,
be much longer. And the first couple of months it was a week by week kind of basis where every week I asked I had weekly calls still with my booking agent and my management, like, hey, okay, how is this going to play out? When are we getting back on tour? And then after a few months, you started realizing that it might take a little longer. So you
just
find
a
a little
little
bit of,
longer.
yeah, just a little bit of a bit longer than 3 months. Well, now we're at, almost 1.5 years.
Yeah,
Um, and I think, after a few months, I really took quite I found some peace in that, like in the fact that okay, I definitely am not going to be going on tour pretty soon. All travel is banned, things are locked down, so that gave me a sense of peace and also, yeah, kind of a sense of repurpose. So
hmm,
I what I try to do is spend even more time on the music, really focusing on important projects like my own record label, Heartfelt Records, that just got launched at the beginning of COVID. I mean, yeah, I mean it's definitely a different life, but I think the phase where we're in right now, I've found comfort in the fact that I'll see when it goes back instead of I'm hoping every week
yeah,
until I can get back on tour. I'm actually making myself useful, finding the joys in other things, and then
yeah,
of course I'm really excited to get back on the road. But yeah, I'm not very anxious about it or something like that.
yeah. I can imagine. What I get from well, clients, for example, I talk to, or just people from the industry, is this. I kind of started seeing that there's two camps in this whole thing. Like one camp experienced the whole year as one big shithole and quitting their job, losing a lot of money, all the negative stuff that comes to it. Or you're in the camp where you say, hey, I actually used the year to spend time on things that I didn't have the time for before this whole thing, or I started learning more about myself or about my relationship. Or is that something you could recognize yourself in?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And it's also because, yeah, because you have focus and you've got more time for other stuff. And
Yeah,
it's not only on the business side, it's also, seeing your friends more, seeing your girlfriend more, seeing your parents more, experiencing normal life, experiencing, what goes on a day-to-day basis here at home, and really appreciating that much more.
hmm,
So yeah, I mean, it's for me, it's been definitely a very insightful and educational year so far, and I think I've also learned some lessons in the sense that when I do get back on the road, I think I'm going to do things a little differently in the sense that right, the last 6 years has been a roller coaster, and it
hmm,
was a really nice ride, but it's also had a big impact on me mentally and physically. And when you look back at it and thinking about doing a 1 hour show in Korea and flying up and down for that and really spending the whole weekend just for one show and having
yeah,
jet lags and realizing what the impact is on your life, I am not sure I would do that again. So
yeah.
so I think in that sense it's been very educational.
Yeah, and did you also start thinking differently about traveling in general?
Yeah, a little bit. And I mean, now it has to make sense. So,
Hmm.
and I always said it before, but for me, the biggest realization came when I found out through COVID that I don't really need to tour as much as I did to sustain the business financially.
You know what's
So,
funny? This is the most common thing I heard from DJs.
yeah.
Like most DJs thought that they had to play every week to maintain their business to be able to make enough money to keep the whole thing going.
Hmm.
And the number one thing I get is this. Like I
Yeah, I
found
mean,
out that
yeah.
even without playing for a year, I'm still alive.
Exactly, and but it's also logical because a lot of your self-worth and a lot of your, the joy you get from your job comes out of playing about, and that's pretty much what you can do as an artist, right? So
Yeah.
you can make great music and you can do great shows. That's the very core of being an artist. And if one of those things get taken away, you feel empty, in a sense. And after a while, the realization comes that you no longer need that element necessarily. You might still think it's fun, but you don't
Yeah.
really need to do it in order to sustain your business and become and be a musical artist. You can be a musical artist without the touring or as much touring. And for me, that's I think that's the number one thing that's made me realize that, in the future I can do things differently. While before I wanted to do them differently, but I really didn't have the courage or the motivation to do it differently
Yeah.
because I thought it was impossible.